Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article in The Week, and it quotes or it reports on a New York Times story. Trump has been telling a number of people he's in contact with that he expects he will be reinstated by August. No, that isn't how it works, but simply sharing the information. This is from Maggie Haberman of the New York Times. What are the chances that the reporting is based on sources that want people to believe President Trump truly believes this? Okay, you have to understand, Democrats and media and anyone who doesn't like Trump, they view him as a nightmare, an actual nightmare. They think that even though the mayor of D.C. and the attorney general of D.C. never leveled any charges for that horrific day in January, just like no Democratic politician was held liable or responsible in a court of law for the $1 to $2 billion in property damage and 19 lives lost for months before November. But again, see, there's reality, there's context, nuance, and then there's everything's Trump's fault. He's a monster and he's a nightmarish orange entity. They view him to be the Freddy Krueger of politics, but he's actually the Obi-Wan Kenobi. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. We are growing. We're back at almost at 181,000 subs. And hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. That is growing. We're almost at 20,000 subs there. We just passed 16,000, so that's below in the pinned comment. Please go ahead and share that H.A. Goodman's other channel right now as well, and subscribe to it. But this is how it started off, okay? This is how everything started, ladies and gentlemen. Sidney Powell made a statement. I covered that several days ago. She made a statement pertaining to reinstatement of Trump. Then, okay, and it was at a conference that they say is directly involved with the message board. I told people 3 years ago, you can watch the debate on hagoodman.com. I completely defeated and refuted any notion that the message board was real or linked to any intel operatives. The whole thing was a farce and absurd. I told people 3 years ago in 2018 never to believe anything on message boards, that Jeff Sessions was the worst attorney general of all time, and that this message board was very likely created to just really deceive and try to undermine President Trump's chances. Because if you're believing things that aren't real, you're not doing anything for yourself or for your political cause or for, anything you want achieved in Washington. Anyway, so there was this whole big conference because Democrats need something to take away from the fact that Biden is Jimmy Carter 2.0. Maybe Jimmy Carter was actually better. I mean, we're not better off. In terms of the economy, in terms of foreign policy, in terms of domestic policy, nobody's better off. And that's pretty obvious. We can go, there's like a litany of problems that didn't happen during President Trump's administration. From inflation to a whole bunch of foreign policy crises. And of course, all the problems or issues that they were so passionate about during Trump's administration, they're suddenly silent on because it's Biden. But that's the way they are. You're talking about oftentimes very duplicitous, disingenuous people. Democrats love to, focus on the humanity or human rights or tragedies when they're not in the Oval Office. And then when they're in the Oval Office, gosh, those facilities, they're so much different. They're no longer cages. They're wonderful places. But anyway, so the journalist keeps writing, it isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening as he faced the possibility of indictment from a Manhattan DA. But he is not putting out statements about the audits and states just for the sake of it. He's been laser focused on them, according to several people who've spoken with him. yes, Trump has been laser focused on it. God forbid he's focused on information that could help him politically, if, by the way, it's conveyed or communicated in an effective manner. But Democrats were focused for 4 years, including the New York Times, on accusing Trump of working with Russia. That never happened. But ladies and gentlemen, he's not going to be reinstated until 2024, hopefully when or if he defeats Biden in another election in 2024. He's not going to be reinstated. There's no way, there's no mechanism for that to take place. The recounts, what will happen is that will be political momentum for Trump. Okay, people don't believe the official narrative on a lot of things because Democrats and media so often lie through their teeth on a whole bunch of topics. And half the country does not live life or look at the world through the sensibilities of a morally superior, almost always apoplectic, always indignant liberal Democrat. They don't look at the world in that manner. And this is why everybody from Jimmy Kimmel to Stephen Colbert to Saturday Night Live to Trevor Noah, of course, John Oliver, but at least Trevor Noah and John Oliver, that was like their shows have always been political in nature. Johnny Carson and Arsenio Hall, and you can look at whether it was Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, like Jimmy Kimmel's show has never always been political. Every element of society from Hollywood hasn't been this political, ever. Sports, every element of society, including sports, there's no respite, there's no refuge. You can't get away from it because Democrats know, and morally superior liberal Democrats know that not everybody, half the country does not either trust them or believe them or agree with them. And this is also a big issue. They cannot have an actual debate or discussion because if numbers or facts don't correlate with their deeply held belief system, then they just yell and scream and try to just cancel the person. So Trump never worked with Russia. There was never a reason to even investigate him. The whole thing was fabricated by intelligence operatives who were biased. It was a partisan investigation. Okay? It found nothing. Just like President Trump stated, they'd find nothing. But they never gave him the benefit of the doubt. They never apologized to him. Of course not. They said, well, people around you got indicted for lying about an investigation that should never have taken place in the first place because there was never any evidence aside from a high to moderate confidence assessment by John Brennan and James Clapper, and that's not evidence. And it's a dossier. They literally purchased. I'm still waiting for Democrats to acknowledge that purchasing a dossier is the height of duplicity and hypocrisy. Like, they couldn't find anything on Trump, so they actually purchased the dossier. Clinton and the DNC did. I'm still waiting for them to realize that or to acknowledge that's the epitome of a conflict of interest. But they don't care, see? So President Trump politically will benefit from recounts if the recounts and then don't correlate to the official numbers. Politically, he'll benefit greatly. Democrats will then say, oh my God, our democracy is in peril, and oh my God, look what's going to happen. He's going to incite people because they now think of Trump supporters as mindless zombies, even though left-leaning protest, peaceful people, very peaceful people engaged in $1 to $2 billion in property damage, over 10,000 arrests, and 19 lives lost. But according to media, Trump supporters are the mindless zombies that will just engage in rampant criminality because of Trump. And you better accept the official narrative, because if you don't, look what's taken place. I mean, haven't we seen this? They had Democrats have to play this up. And so it's unlikely that Trump ever told anyone he's going to be reinstated. That was Sidney Powell's viewpoint, and it was only a viewpoint. Give me your thoughts below. There's no mechanism for it to happen, my God almighty. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now to this channel.